You looked in the mirror this week and noticed something different. Perhaps your hair is growing in stronger. Maybe a shine has returned that you haven't seen in a long time. Perhaps the thinning has lessened in a way you can't explain. You might have dismissed it as coincidence, as a change in the season, as the effect of some new product. But what if I told you it was none of those things? What if that sign in your hair is the first physical evidence of a spiritual transformation already happening within you, and you haven't stopped to understand what it means? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see your body, your story, and the moment you are living in right now. We will talk about science, we will talk about spirituality, and we will talk about you. About the weight you've carried for years without realizing the true cost. About the nights you wondered where your strength went. And about the reason why what is happening to your hair right now is not an accident. It is a message. But before we go deep into this, I need you to do one thing. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Because this is the kind of perspective-shifting content you will want to be here for when the next videos arrive. Let's start at the beginning, with what science has already proven, beyond doubt. Human hair is one of the most precise biological records of what happens inside our bodies. It is no exaggeration to say that. Forensic scientists use strands of hair to determine a history of substance exposure over months. Toxicologists can read from a hair sample what a person has consumed, what hormones have dominated their system, what deficiencies they have carried. Hair holds the body's memory. And what does the body record most faithfully of all? Stress. There is a phenomenon called telogen effluvium. This technical name describes a process millions experience without knowing its name. It works like this. When the body goes through intense stress, whether emotional, physical, or both, it enters survival mode. In this mode, it redistributes energy. It cuts off the supply of resources to functions it considers non-essential. And guess what it can? Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. It is non-essential. Hair growth. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to cortisol, the stress hormone. When cortisol levels spike and remain high for weeks, for months, or as happens for many people over 35, for years, the follicles enter a resting state early. The growth cycle is interrupted, keratin production drops, the strand becomes thin, dull, brittle. Shedding increases. This is not weakness. This is your body screaming in silence that you are carrying more than you can bear. Now tell me, do you recognize that period? Did you go through a phase like that? Perhaps a loss, a separation, a layoff, a family illness, a betrayal, years of accumulation trying to handle everything alone while inside you were coming apart. Because if you recognize it, I want you to know that what happened to your hair during that time was not weakness. It was the faithful record of a real battle. But now pay close attention, because here is where the conversation shifts direction. If chronic stress causes hair to fall out, become dull and weaken, what happens when that stress begins to be removed? What happens when the body starts to exit survival mode? The follicles wake up. The growth cycle restarts. The production of proteins that form the strand increases. The scalp, which was inflamed by constant tension, begins to recover. The shine returns because the strand is being nourished from within again. The growth becomes thicker because the energy that was once diverted for emergency is now available for building. That is literally what is happening when you look in the mirror and see a change. Your body is coming out of the war. It is stepping out of the perpetual state of alert. And it is showing you in a way you cannot ignore because you see it every day. But the important question is, what is causing this shift? What is removing the stress that had become so deeply embedded in you? And this is where science reaches its limit. Because it can measure the cortisol, it can identify the telogen effluvium, it can explain the mechanism, but it cannot tell you why exactly now the turn is happening. It cannot explain to you why, after so long carrying that weight, something began to move within you in a way you can't quite name, but that you feel for certain. For that, we need another language. There is a passage in the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, that says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." That was written over 2,500 years ago, and it still describes exactly what happens when a person who has been through profound exhaustion begins to be restored from the inside out. Renew their strength, not recover, not go back to what was before. Renew, it's a different word. Renew implies something new, something that didn't exist before in this form. It implies that the process of restoration doesn't return you to zero, it takes you to a place you haven't yet known. And the stronger hair, the shine that's returning, the growth happening now, these aren't merely signs that you've gone back to what you were. They are signs that you are walking toward a place you haven't yet arrived. But I need to tell you something many people don't understand about this process. And if you don't grasp it, you might miss the timing of what is being prepared for you. Stay with me here. Let me ask you a direct question. In recent months, have you felt something shift in your relationships? Not necessarily in a dramatic way, not necessarily with fights or radical cuts, but perhaps a natural distancing. Maybe a conversation that used to be easy with a certain person now feels forced. Perhaps an environment you used to frequent starts to give you a strange feeling, a resistance you can't quite explain. Pay attention to this signal, because it is directly connected to what is happening with your hair. There is a well-studied relationship between the autonomic nervous system, which regulates your involuntary stress responses, and the social environments you are in. Polyvagal theory, developed by neuroscientist Stephen Porges, explains that our nervous system constantly scans the environment for safety or threat, and it does so in a way the conscious mind doesn't always perceive. When you are in a relationship, a work environment, a social circle that constantly drains your energy, even if nothing explicitly wrong is happening, your nervous system registers this as a chronic threat. Elevated cortisol, alert mode, follicles at rest, hair loss. When you begin to pull away from those environments, when life begins to gently move you away from what was never meant for you, the nervous system begins to recalibrate. It begins to find safety. It begins to come out of defense mode. And the whole body breathes. From a spiritual perspective, this has a name: protection. It is no coincidence that you are distancing yourself from certain people now. It is no coincidence that certain environments are losing their former appeal over you. You are being guarded. You are being moved away from what was costing you more than you realized, and your body is registering that relief in a way you can see in the mirror. Now, I need to speak about something that will touch many here, and I want you to listen carefully. You went through a phase where you stopped caring for yourself, not in an irresponsible way, not in a way others easily noticed, but in an internal way. You gradually stopped seeing yourself as a priority. You began putting others' needs before your own. You internalized criticism and comparisons until the voice that judged you began to sound more like truth than the words that built you up. This has a documented physical cost. When a person carries chronic shame, severe self-criticism, or a feeling of invisibility, the body responds with the same physiological markers as traumatic stress. Cortisol rises, inflammation increases. The body's regeneration systems, including those that maintain hair, are compromised. Researchers at the University of Toronto have published studies showing that chronic self-criticism activates the same brain regions as physical threat. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a lion chasing you and an inner voice telling you you're not enough. It responds with the same danger alarm. And how long did you carry that alarm? How many years did you wake up and the first thought was about what you hadn't solved, what you still weren't, what others thought of you, what you lost, what would go wrong? How many years did your nervous system start the day already in defense mode? This wasn't a character flaw. It was the result of an accumulation any human being would suffer. But now, as a peace that surpasses understanding begins to settle in you, the alarm is being turned off, and the body is responding. I want you to pause here and think of a specific night, a night you were alone, maybe in front of the mirror, maybe lying in the dark with your thoughts at full volume, a night you weren't okay and you knew it but had nowhere to take it. A night you cried or wanted to cry and asked in silence if anyone was still paying attention to your life. You were heard that night. Not in a way that appeared on your screen or someone texted you at the right time, but in a way that begins to appear now, in the following days, in the months that came, in the small changes you are noticing. That night did not go unnoticed. It was recorded, and the answer is being built in layers you are beginning to see. Psalm 56 verse 8 says something very few people know by heart, but it is one of the most intimate declarations in all of Scripture. It says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. Are they not recorded in your book? A bottle for your tears, not a bucket. A bottle, a small, intimate, precise thing. Each tear individualized, separated, kept. This is not a careless metaphor. It is a declaration that no detail of your pain went unnoticed. And if every tear was counted, every strand was too. Every strand that fell in moments of deepest exhaustion was recorded. And every strand now growing back stronger is being attended to with the same care. But now I need to prepare you for a part many aren't ready to hear, because understanding what is coming will require a narrative shift you must make consciously. Most people who have been through a long period of burnout, loss, struggle, develop without realizing it an identity built around the suffering, not because they want to suffer, but because suffering was so present for so long that it became familiar. It became what the person knows of themselves. And when restoration begins to arrive, when things genuinely begin to improve, the nervous system, conditioned to expect the worst, begins to look for danger in the midst of the blessing. It begins to ask, but will it last? Am I fooling myself? Will I lose this too? This has a clinical name. It's called post-traumatic hypervigilance, and it is one of the greatest silent saboteurs of people on the brink of a turnaround. Spiritually, this pattern has another name: disbelief. Not the arrogant disbelief of one who never needed anything, the fearful disbelief of one who believed before, hoped before, and felt abandoned along the way. This is a legitimate wound, and it needs healing along with the rest. Because here is what is true: you will not lose what is being built now, not because nothing difficult will ever happen again, but because the level of presence working in your life now is not the kind that builds halfway. When he renews completely. When he restores with increase. What you are seeing in your hair is just the most visible layer. Beneath, something is being built to last. The weight you still carry, without knowing. I need to speak now about something not discussed as often as it should be, about a specific type of weariness that many people over 35 carry, and which has everything to do with what we're discussing. It is the weariness of having been strong for too long. There is a very specific cultural pressure within society, especially for those who are the family pillar, for those who are the most responsible among siblings, for those who have always been called a warrior, as if it were an eternal compliment and not a weight placed on your shoulders when you weren't mature enough to carry it. You were taught early that asking for help is weakness, that crying in public is shameful, that you need to fix before you feel, act before you process, hold on before you let go. And you held on. For years, for decades perhaps. And your body recorded every moment you held what should have been released. Every time you swallowed an emotion that needed expression, your nervous system interpreted it as unprocessed threat. And unprocessed threat becomes chronic tension. Chronic tension becomes systemic inflammation. Systemic inflammation creates the exact internal environment that compromises the health of your hair, skin, sleep, digestion, and immunity. It is not weakness to realize this. It is intelligence. It is your body finally being heard. And now that you are understanding this cycle, you also need to understand that part of the healing happening in you involves learning a new vocabulary. The vocabulary of one who can be strong and vulnerable at the same time. Of one who can ask for help without feeling like a failure. Of one who can say, I am exhausted without it being a defeat. Because when you stop using energy to hide what you feel, that energy becomes available to build, to regenerate, to grow, literally. What changes? When you stop fighting the process. There's an image that appears often in scripture that I want to use here because it's perfect for this moment. It's the image of the potter and the clay. The potter does not work against the clay. He works with the clay. He knows the nature of the material. He knows the clay needs moisture, pressure, heat at the right time. He knows a wrong move can distort the piece. He knows there is a time to mold and a time to fire. And he knows above all that the final beauty of the piece does not depend on the clay understanding the process while it's happening. It depends on the clay remaining pliable in the hands of the craftsman. You are being molded now. And the hardest part to accept is that molding hurts. The pressure is real, the heat is real, the feeling of being squeezed from all sides is real. But this pressure is not punishment. It is formation. Clay that hardens before being fully molded can no longer receive the form planned for it. That's why pliability matters. That's why resisting the process prolongs what could be resolved with more speed and less pain. When you stop fighting what is being removed from your life, when you stop trying to force back what is being taken, when you stop questioning the timing and begin to trust the direction, something shifts in your nervous system. The tension of trying to control the uncontrollable dissolves, and the body, which was using energy to maintain a state of defense, redirects that energy to regeneration. This is not passivity. It is an active form of trust. It's one of the most courageous postures a human can assume, to decide to trust the process without seeing the full picture. And your hair, which is the most sensitive sensor you have, will register that decision. You are not aging, you are being refined. Let me be direct about something popular culture gets very wrong, especially for those in their 35s, 40s, 50s and beyond. Society has sold a narrative that from a certain age you are in decline, that youth was the peak and what comes after is just maintenance, that the glow of your 20s is the real glow and what you have now is a diminished version of that. This narrative is a complete lie, and it causes real damage. Longitudinal studies in positive psychology consistently show that levels of emotional well-being, sense of purpose, and life satisfaction tend to increase with age, not decrease, when a person has access to support resources and a sense of meaning. The wisdom that comes from having survived your worst phases has no equivalent in youth. The calm of one who has lost and rebuilt cannot be simulated by one who hasn't yet been tested. The depth you gained by crossing what you crossed is not defeat. It is an inheritance. The problem is not being 40 or 50. The problem is being 40 or 50, believing you have lost something that will never return, when in fact you are in the moment of greatest potential in your life, if you have your eyes open to see it. The shine returning to your hair is not the shine of your 20s. It is better than that. It is the shine of someone who went to the depths and returned, of someone who was tested and endured, of someone who has a story worth telling and a purpose that is only now beginning to reveal itself with clarity. Do not confuse renewal with regression. You are not going back to who you were. You are advancing toward who you are becoming. And this version is stronger, deeper, and more prepared than any previous version. Let's talk about what is coming. Because a transformation of this dimension does not happen without purpose. You are being prepared for a visibility that would have intimidated you before. Not superficial visibility, not fame for fame's sake, not exposure for exposure's sake. A visibility with purpose. There will be moments when you will walk into rooms where you once would have felt small, and you will feel a calm that comes not from arrogance, but from a peace that was built deep within you through everything you crossed. There will be conversations where you will speak with an authority that is not rehearsed. It will come from within. It will come from someone who went to the depths and returned. And the people around you will feel it, even if they can't name it. You will realize that your story, which you wanted to hide out of shame, is exactly what will touch the people who need to hear that it is possible to survive, to restore, to be renewed. But for this to happen, one thing needs to change today. Not tomorrow, today. You need to start speaking about yourself in a different way. I'm not talking about empty affirmations repeated in the mirror with no connection to anything. I'm talking about a conscious decision to stop repeating criticisms that never came from a true source, to stop echoing voices that diminished you in moments of weakness, to stop using your worst phases as a permanent definition of who you are. When you change the internal narrative, the nervous system responds, the cortisol level responds, the follicles respond, the entire body responds. This is not magical thinking. This is documented neuroplasticity. Your thoughts literally remold the neural pathways in your brain, and those pathways regulate the hormonal responses that determine the physical state of your body. Your agreement with the healing that is happening will accelerate the process. Your resistance will delay it. This is not blame, it is physics. I want to give you something concrete to take from this and put into practice today. Not a week from now, today. First, when you look in the mirror and notice the change in your hair, don't dismiss it. Don't minimize it. Receive it. Say out loud, even if it feels strange, thank you for this. Not because it's a magical ritual, but because the act of verbalizing gratitude measurably changes brain chemistry. Studies from the University of California show that expressing gratitude releases serotonin and dopamine, hormones that directly counteract cortisol. You are literally making a chemical adjustment in your body with 2 words. Second, identify an environment or a relationship from which you have naturally distanced yourself in recent months. And instead of fighting that distancing or feeling guilty about it, simply observe. Do not force permanence where peace no longer lives. Do not over-explain. Trust that what is loosening because it needs to. Third, find a promise, a phrase, a verse, a declaration that resonates with what you are living now, and repeat it as an anchor when the thought of hypervigilance appears, when the inner voice asks if it will last. Not to eliminate the question, but to have a ready answer that comes from a source deeper than fear. Some people will watch this and think, this isn't for me. My hair is still falling out. My situation is still hard. I'm not yet seeing the turnaround. If you are that person, I need you to hear this directly. The process I've described here does not begin when the evidence appears. It begins long before. The follicle rests for months before resuming its growth cycle. The body begins to recalibrate inside long before you see anything on the outside, which means if you are here, if this video reached you today, if something in the title or description touched something within you, it is very likely the process is already underway. You just aren't yet at the stage where the evidence appears. Don't dismiss because you don't yet see. Don't abandon the process because it isn't yet visible. The seed is in the soil long before any sprout appears, and no one throws away the soil before the plant grows. Your moment is coming, and when it arrives, you will remember this dark period as the time when everything was prepared. Let me tell you about a woman I know. Her name is Sarah. She's 47, lives in a small town in Ohio, went through a difficult divorce after 17 years of marriage, lost her job around the same time, and stayed with her mother for almost 2 years while trying to rebuild. She told me the part that shamed her the most wasn't the financial situation, wasn't having to ask for help. It was the mirror. Because the hair she had always taken pride in, thick, strong, long, was falling out in amounts she could barely stand to look at. It was as if the mirror was confirming what she most feared, that she was disappearing. She was in that process for 2 years, 2 years that felt like 10. And then, on an ordinary morning, she looked in the mirror and noticed a different shine at the root. Not a dramatic transformation, a small thing, but she told me she cried more than she had on any night of suffering, because that small thing was the first physical evidence that she was coming back, that there was something inside her that had survived and was rebuilding. Today, she has her own business. She has relationships that build her up. She has a peace she says she didn't have even before the divorce, because the peace she has now was built in a place that suffering had cleared. And her hair? It came back thicker than before. She says the day she noticed the shine was the day she stopped being ashamed of her story. That is what happens when restoration reaches the root. I want to close with something that needs to be engraved in you. You are not aging in defeat. You are maturing in grace. It is not the same thing. Aging in defeat is accumulating years with the narrative that you lost more than you gained, that you fell short of what you could have been. The time passed and left you behind. Maturing in grace is recognizing that every season, including the hardest ones, especially the hardest ones, had a function. It was building something. It was removing what didn't serve. It was preparing ground. The narrative of decline you believed is being rewritten, not by you alone, by an intelligence that knows the end from the beginning, that knows what is being woven into your life while you are still in the middle of the process, with no full vision of what is being built. Every healthier strand is a sentence of this new story being written. Every inch of thicker growth is proof the process is advancing. Every new shine is a direct reflection that something inside you is being nourished in a way it wasn't before. It is not vanity. It is dignity. It is not superficial. It is sacred. Because the same God who designed every strand with intentional purpose is the one now recalibrating your health, your hormones, your rest, your trust, and your identity. He finishes what he starts, and he does not do things by half. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you. And strengthen your mind. also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuzazuru readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.